Hello everyone, this is FF Games for the Win here, and I'm going to be bringing you a new series I'm going to be starting, which is going to be my first Let's Play of the game called Reus. Now, this is a slightly different type of Let's Play than pretty much all the other Reus Let's Plays I found on YouTube. This one, rather than being a blind Let's Play where I go through, this one I've actually completed all the unlocks in the game here. Which I have reset them, which if you want to reset them, you just hit Control Shift F3. Now the reason I've done this is because the different developments change the game. I mean, you gain more abilities, and also being level 1, 2, and 3 changes actually the game in some significant ways, beyond just the unlocks, the sources that you can get. So here we have the different things, development sources, projects, which they are unlocked same way as the developments. They pretty much correspond one-to-one. But yeah, so Control Shift F3 if you want to unlock to reset them. Now, in this episode, I'm going to be going through the tutorial levels. I'm not really going to be telling you their instructions. I'm kind of going to be explaining the game myself while you go through. If you feel like you already know all the mechanics of this game, go ahead and skip to the first episode. That's why I'm going to be labeling this one Episode 0. But if you want to know more, and I also do explain more in depth than what the game actually tells you, so if you want to, then sit back and I'll start this up. So let's go into the beginning, the first era. Okay, now the game always starts out paused, and you unpause it by hitting spacebar. You can repause by hitting spacebar again. Now to move the camera around, there's many different ways to manipulate the screen. You can either drag with your mouse, left click and hold. You can spin the planet. You can zoom in with your mouse wheel, which there's 3 levels. There's really zoomed out, the standard one, and then you can zoom in closer on a patch. You can also go to a spot and zoom in by clicking on a spot on the map, double-clicking, and it will zoom you to it. Also, you can turn with the arrow keys, but this is really slow and annoying, and I never use it. Now, the game of Reus is done to the objective in this game is to terraform the world and make it habitable for humans and try and increase them in their prosperity. The way you do this is via control of these giants, which you gain here. They've given us 2 of the 4 ones we'll actually have in a normal game, the rock giant and the ocean giant here. Now they've unlocked almost all the abilities here in the tutorials, and they pretty much tell you what you can and can't do, though you would have more stuff unlocked in an actual game. So they have all these abilities here, and then a health bar, because they can actually get damaged, which we'll go into that later with the tired greed in the third scenario. Now, to move the giants around, you just left-click on them and move them towards each other. Also, another way you can move the map is by double-clicking on a giant on this 1 and 2 down here, and it will take you right to them, which is as useful. So now if you click on a random piece of land here, it shows you all the details about it. So right now you have nothing, it's just empty patch, dry wasteland. So we're going to have to actually do something about that. So the first thing you generally want to do in a map is create an ocean, which they're having us do right here, because I unlocked that ability, which is done through the ocean giant. Now something to note here is, see this like different colored dirt here? This is the difference between the wet and dry wasteland, which you can place forest or swamp on wet wasteland. Now something to note though is that yes, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 spots of wet wasteland for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spots of ocean. But something to note though is, if I were to make this ocean bigger, it doesn't just shift. So like if I make this ocean double the size, you'd expect it to still be 13 spots, but over here. That's actually not the case. The bigger the ocean is, the farther expanse it has of irrigation in the game. So you can actually make really big biomes by making larger oceans. So now let's see how big. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 spots of irrigation. So definitely gained more from doing that. So if you want to make really big biomes, this is the way to do it. I generally don't do this, but it's useful. It's there if you want. But if I were to have even left a single spot of land between this, it would break the chain, and this irrigation would just be the 13 spots from the ocean. So now they're going to give us a third of our giants, which is the forest giant here, which he plants forests. Go figure. Yeah, this first tutorial, all it is the very bare bones, is how to terraform the world. It doesn't really get into many of the aspects of what you're actually doing much in the game, because the terraforming process generally lasts you the first minute or two of the game, and then you're done with it, and you start playing different. Now it wants us to raise a mountain. Now the thing about the raising a mountain, you can do it you can do it different ways. Now, if I were to raise a mountain in the middle of this ocean here, it would cancel out the ocean. Oceans cancel out mountains, mountains cancel out oceans. So you can change it that way. Now, also, if I were to place the mountain, let's say, here, this spot here is still irrigated, so it would not turn to desert. But since we're now blocking the ocean, this spot would be. You can also place it directly next to it, and it will gain desert all here because it's blocking from this point. Now I can put desert out in the middle of nowhere, and it will actually gain me desert on both sides of where I'm going. But it won't go past the spot where the irrigation is. So even if I were to put this, let's say, here, it will not actually create desert here. It'll actually instead, I think, create forest. So let's see that. Actually, no, I think I'm mistaken. I think if I were to actually have this be unirrigated and then add an ocean, it'll turn desert to forest if it gets too close. Yeah, it just doesn't go past there. But let's say this was unirrigated and then I added this ocean here, and there was desert here, it would turn the desert to forest. So you can actually create forest without a forest giant. Why you'd want to do this, I don't know. That's generally if you screwed up something. If that happens, you generally don't want that. So let's create a forest here, because now it just wants us to cover half the world, and that will be the end of this tutorial. Oh, I'd already done enough for their double ocean and big desert. And that's the bare bones of the game. So that's the first tutorial.